are the descendants of Acadians and French Catholic colonists who were exiled from Canada way back when. They largely settled in New Orleans. The backbone of every dish is made of onions, celery, and bell pepper. The Holy Trinity. Amen. This delicious trinity makes for authentic Cajun food. Today, we're cooking up our version of Cajun with Cajun-style ling cod, okra succatosh, and pickled corn. Now that's stick-to-your-ribs kind of good. I'm Garret Schack, and that's what we're cooking on the coast. Mes amis, today it's stick to your ribs good, because we're making Cajun-style ling cod with okra succatosh and pickled corn. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just show you a really quick pickle. It's a great way to use up some corn that's left over after the fall season. What we have in a pan right over here in a little pot is vinegar. I usually like to do 2 parts vinegar to 1 part water. Then we need to add salt and sugar to give it that sort of, salty, sweet flavor. And then we have some dried dill. You can use fresh dill, but you have to use a lot more of it. So I like to use the dried dill because it's going to give a really, really punch of a flavor there. Now in our jar here, we want to put a few rings of a chili pepper while we let that vinegar heat up. And then we'll do a little bit of garlic. Just some nice garlic slices here. Looks pretty good. Some nice big chunks, put them in there. Those will be delicious too once it's all pickled up. What we'll want to do is pour that hot liquid right over top of our jar and then throw it in the fridge. Give it about 2 or 3 days. Taste it, see how it is, and it might need a little bit longer just to sit on the vinegar. See, we're almost up to a boil here, and then we'll just get this right into the pot. Here we go. Smells incredible. Look at those colors too. The yellow, the corn, the green. Now we'll put the lid on while it's still warm. And give it a good shake. And then that'll just go sit in your fridge, like I said. It'll last, taste it after a few days, but it'll last for a few weeks in your fridge for sure. And you'll be using this as a condiment on a bunch of stuff. So we'll just set that out of the way. And let's turn our attention to our succatosh. So this is sort of the accompaniment to our ling cod dish today. We're going down the Cajun road, so we got to do what traditional Cajun food does. And we're using what's called a trinity to get our base of our dish started. Nice hot pan. Fair bit of vegetable oil. And then over here on this plate, we've got onions, bell peppers, and celery. That's all gonna go right in here. Start sauteing. There we are. I've got a little bit of garlic left over here that we're just gonna chop up rough again. And we'll throw that in the pan. And the rest of that chili that we didn't use when we were chopping up the onion or when we were doing our pickled corn. There we go. Seeds and everything. We want a little heat to this. We're spicing up our life this season, so we're not going to shy away from these spicy foods and different spices, right? All right, let's clean off our knife. Some salt in there, start releasing some flavors, and give it a good stir. Smells amazing. Look at the colors in there. Doesn't that look great? All that celery and peppers and onions. Now, let's turn our attention to the okra. Not to be confused with the popular television host. This has some really depth of flavor and adds some really interesting textures to your dishes. So traditional Cajun cuisine would have okra or okra in the succatosh, but it would basically be a corn or bean base. We're breaking the rules a little bit today and going with a majority here of okra in our seasoning or in our dish. All right. So you'll see I cut the tops off. If you look at the okra piece here, there's a bit of a knot right there. That's really woody. You want to cut that away. Set that aside, and then just slice the rest of these up. We're leaving some fairly good-sized chunks, because again, we're looking for some of that texture over into our pot with this. If you haven't dealt with okra before, it's really interesting. It kind of has this bit of a stickiness to it, which is really interesting, but it adds texture to your dish. Okay, looks very nice. Now we want to add a little bit of flavor here. We got Tabasco sauce, or like a hot peppery sauce we're going to add in there. A few dashes. Very nice. Worcestershire sauce. This stuff, hard to pronounce, but really tasty and the base of a lot of really good cuisine. We want to be fairly heavy with it. Kind of makes our succatosh would be known as dirty if you're having like a Caesar cocktail or a Caesar drink. If you order a dirty, you get a lot of the Worcestershire in there. It has a super interesting smell to it as well. And what next? So we want a little bit more juice in there, so we're gonna grate a tomato. So I've got these tomatoes here, and you might have seen this on the show before. We're just gonna cut one end off, and then using our grater, we're gonna put it right over our pan and just grate that tomato right in there. Seeds and all, that's all good. And what you'll see we end up with, it's just the skin left on the back of my hand here, in the palm of my hand rather. There we go, just skin left, and now we got nothing but lovely juice and tasty stuff in our sauce, in our succatosh. All right, we'll set that down below. Give this another stir up. Opa, there we go. I do like to say opa for most cuisines. It's not, for me, it's not just limited to Greek stuff. There we go. Suffer and succatosh, right? Old Sylvester the cat. Where would I be without that guy? And then a little bit of white wine, just to thin it out. Okay. Fresh cracked pepper. Fair few turns. Well, now we're gonna let this all cook together. Let those flavors all bind. Let the colors start coming out. Very nice. We'll be back later in the show to pull together our Cajun-style ling cod with okra succatosh and pickled corn. But don't go away. Right after the break, we're heading out on the road. You won't want to miss that. On the go in beautiful Cowichan Bay, Vancouver Island, and we came across an artisan ice cream shop, the original Udder Guys Ice Cream. What a unique name. I can't wait to get inside and try it. Beautiful sunny day. Nothing beats a good ice cream. Let's check it out. We're now behind the scenes at Udder Guys in the kitchen with Eve. How you doing, Eve?
Pleasure.
Hey, thanks for having me back here. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure having you here.
Yeah, so this is such a unique product that you make, and you have some staple flavors, but today you're working on something unique and special. Can you tell me about it?
I'm working today for the Damali Lavender Festival coming up on July 15th.
Yeah.
We're doing 200 units of lavender with lemon in it. So it's a lavender ice cream.
Nice.
The base basically is pretty tricky to work with lavender.
Any of our audience viewers out there might be going, oh, well, it's just lavender, it smells pretty, but
no.
You and I know what happens if there's too much lavender in there.
Too much lavender, it takes over, it's soapy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and then people are reading and go, oh, this is a bar of soap. What's going on? This is an ice cream?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what have you got in here? So
right now it's just milk, sugar, eggs, cream, eggs.
None of that funny other stuff, right?
No guar, no scum or anything. And the lavender, a little bit of lemon. That's it.
Very nice, yeah.
It's straight, it's a French custard ice cream. All our ice creams are French custard, which means they're all hand-cooked.
Yeah, and which is unique, right? A lot of places, when they're doing volume like you do, they try to kind of cheat a little bit, don't they?
They use cold, it's called cold custard. Basically, they use pre-mix and then they add their own flavorings to it, and it's homemade ice cream, but they use pre-mix like Dairy Queen, basically.
Yeah, right. Nothing but the real deal here at Udder Guys.
Whereas here, our ice cream, by the time we sell it in the front, it's over 18% butterfat.
Nice. That's awesome.
So it's a health food.
Yeah. And so the process here now...
From here, it'll go into our batch machine, which actually creates it like a soft serve.
Yeah.
And once now it's half basically cooled.
Right.
Then it goes into the hardening cabinet, which is 40 below, and then harden the ice cream. We basically try and use as much local produce as possible in the strawberries, the raspberries, the blackberries. We have suppliers that do it for us.
Very nice. Yeah.
And the rest we basically we use enhancers, which are usually brought in from Germany or Italy as all natural products.
Really, yeah. That are really strong, unique flavors.
They're pure. Right? We just cannot continue to do everything by hand.
Yeah, no,
I can't process 30 cases of mango.
Well, I can see looking around your kitchen here, the staff's pretty tight, and it's a real family affair.
7 o'clock this morning.
Speaking of which, do you mind if we go out front?
No,
maybe I can try a couple?
No, I want you to try.
That'd be awesome. Thanks, each.
Lemon ice ice cream.
Ah, very nice.
Hardest ice cream to make. Pure lemon juice, citric acid. If it hits the cream wrong, curdles the whole
Curdles right away, absolutely.
This tastes like lemon meringue pie.
Oh my goodness. You're never going to get me out of this story, if I tell you. Look at all these flavors. So, run me through some of your most popular flavors. Like, what would you say is...
Ice cream is a mood thing. We never know what's going to sell the most. Some days it's coffee, blackberry, rum and raisin. Our #1 sellers are chocolate nut fudge.
Oh, I wouldn't say no to a little taste of that. Won't lie to you.
What we do is we use a high-end Dutch cocoa. It's called the Royal Dutch Chocolate.
Okay.
So our ice cream tastes like the old fudgicles from years ago.
Oh, nice.
Then we have our homemade fudge with walnut, hazelnut, and almonds in it.
It's so rich. You can tell they use real cream. Like that's what separates it, right?
That's what makes us. That's why we're known here.
So smooth and creamy.
Yeah.
Now I got one other favor to ask. Can I actually get what a scoop would look like?
Sure. Give you a waffle cone here, and I'll give you the happy flavor.
The happy flavor. I like the sounds of that.
This is one for strictly adults.
Strictly adults, eh? So
this is a regular size. And this is Morgan rum and raisin.
Morgan rum and raisin. Gotta like that. Look at all the raisins in there. You can just tell it's creamy already. Can't wait to dig in. You know what, Eve? I think this right here would be a great reason to get off the main highway and take a swerve down in here into Coucher Bay, wouldn't it be?
A lot of people do.
Am I gonna be able to drive after this?
It's only got about 3-4%.
Oh, it's delicious.
Good.
Can I get a handshake?
Yes, sir. It was a real pleasure. Thank you ever so much for coming in.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having us here.
We appreciate it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Have a great day.
I'm going to now. Know that. It's back to our kitchen. We're cooking up Cajun-style ling cod with okra, succatosh, and pickled corn. So you can see here, our succatosh has really come together nicely. The okra started releasing its juices, and the peppers and onions, that holy trinity we talked about earlier. It's all in there. We're lending all its flavors to the dish. So we'll just let that simmer just a little bit longer and turn our attention to where we're spicing things up. Cajun spice, and I want to show you how to make your very own seasoning because you don't have to just buy it in a jar at the store, okay? Use the proportions that you want, and if you don't like onion powder, leave it out, but it's going to change the flavor of your Creole seasoning. So we have onion powder in here, some garlic powder, we got dried oregano, dried basil, dried thyme, cayenne pepper to give it that punch of heat, and I'm using some smoked paprika because I really like that smoky flavor. And we want to combine these all together right here into a pan, and then we're going to mix them up really well. And now, we talked about doing ling cod. And it's interesting because Cajuns will eat anything from wild boar to alligator. Basically, Cajuns will eat whatever they think might eat them first. Today we're going with ling cod. Not too much danger of it eating us. However, they do have very sharp teeth if any of you have ever caught them before. So there's our seasoning. Looks great. It still needs some salt and pepper, but we're going to do that with our ling cod here. So you can see I've just blotted on a bit of paper towel. We want to pick up some of that extra moisture. Throw some salt. Ooh, my nose is tickling from the spices there, so be aware of that when you're doing it. It's going to happen. Some black pepper on there. And then we're going to pour this seasoning out onto the plate so we can sort of press our ling cod into it. Okay. There we go. Set it in there for a quick moment. While we season the other side. Some salt on that side as well. Cracked pepper again. Gotta have seasoning on both sides. And then just give it a little press down with your fingers. Flip it over. There we are. All right, okay, so make sure that seasoning's on all sides. Stuck on there really nicely. Looks great, smells even better. And then we wanna go over to our cast iron pan. I'm using cast iron because it gives us a really nice even heat all the way through. You never want to crank this thing all the way up to super high. We want it kind of on a sort of medium heat. So I'm putting number 4 on the buttons here, but at home, just a slightly less than medium heat, and let it warm up. Okay, so don't just put it on, turn on the heat, and then throw everything in there. Let everything come together because that whole pan will get warm, and that's how you get that even cooking. And it holds the heat really nicely. We're gonna lay our ling cod right into it and let that start to caramelize. Let those spices start to come through. Let's put our second one on there. Be careful because it will get quite hot on you. Got a towel right over here. I wanna just move some of that oil around and lay our other piece in. We're gonna let that sizzle a little bit in there before we flip it over and finish it in the oven. Let's grab that pickled corn out of the fridge. I had some done ahead of time. Where are you now? Oh, there you are. Okay. There it is. This is one I did about a week ago or so. And I like to keep it around, just like preserved lemon and stuff like that, because it's a really nice condiment. Let's give it a taste here. See all that dill, the garlic, I got some chili in there. It's like yellow dill pickles. It's delicious. I love it. Let's finish up our okra succatosh. The last thing we need to add into there is some fresh herbs. We've got some fresh parsley, some really nice fresh chives here as well. This one's even still got the chive flower on it. Isn't that neat? And it's totally edible too. So just a rough chop on this. Cajun cuisine's often really rustic. It's not as much about finesse as it is about all the wonderful flavors and combinations of flavors in there. Fire that right into the pan. There we go. And let's get those chives in there as well. Oh, the smells coming off that cast iron pan are just incredible. Love the way that those seasonings all come together into the pan. Give it a good stir. Now I'm gonna wanna taste this. We wanna check for seasoning. You haven't seen me add too much salt to this at this point, but we're gonna wanna have a little taste and make sure the seasonings are all there. Get a piece of that okra. There we go. Simple but super flavorful, really tasty. Definitely needs some salt. Another little pinch, there we go. Pepper. Let that cook a touch more. Okay, and let's check on our fish. Look at that, beautiful color, I love it. Next one. Very nice. And it really should go to that dark sort of almost black color. You know, we've got some in there. And that's really the idea of what we're looking for with Cajun cuisine and blackening spices. Now let's get this guy into the oven. All right. And start plating our dish. I think it's about that time. Let's pick your favorite plate. The succatosh is ready. Just put this right in the middle of the plate. As so. Make sure you get a nice combination of all the okra, peppers, onions, all those fresh herbs in there. Looks great. Of course, through the magic of television, our fish is ready just like that. Oh, wow, looks so good. Just incredible. Now let's pick our favorite piece here. This one looks like a nice one. We're gonna set that right on top. Now that fish should cook in the oven for probably about 10 minutes or so. It should just start to flake around and it'll be perfect. Let's see here, we gotta get our pickled corn. There we go. And because we had that beautiful chive flower, let's just set that on top. And there you have it. Cajun style ling cod with okra succatosh and pickled corn. Looks so good. This corn is unbelievable too. Now my favorite part of the show, a tasty beverage to go with our Cajun Ling Cod. With me today is Jace from Clive's Classic Lounge. Jace, how are you, pal?
I'm well.
Good to have you on your show again.
Thanks
here.
for having
awesome.
me again. Yeah, this is great.
Looks like you've got quite the concoction to whip up here. What are you making?
Yeah, well, I thought about the flavors that you have in Cajun where you got a little bit of that spicy, and I thought, well, what can we do with that? What pair? Something savory maybe would work. So basically what I came up with was a kind of a deconstructed Caesar. We're going to call it the Abino Ceasar.
Oh, cool.
So I'm starting off by muddling some grape tomatoes in there. And then we're going to use a local product. This is an akvavit made by Sheringham, which is from here on the island as well.
Yeah, so akvavit kind of licoricey, like anise flavor.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of that herbal. It's kind of done in the same way with gin, where it's got distilled spirit that then it's got botanicals added to. So with gin, you've got juniper. With this, you've got your caraway, your fennel, your anise, all those fun things. Nice. Chartreuse is our next ingredient. This is a nice French herbal liqueur.
Very herbaceous.
Very herbaceous, yeah. Just a half ounce of that. Next thing we're gonna do, just to kind of play with that spice, keep that in mind. We've got a jalapeno syrup that we use in Clive's all the time in a few different cocktails. So we're gonna add a little bit of that. This is gonna give it some sweet and some spice.
Yeah, I bet that'll go nicely with the succatosh. We got okra succatosh. That'd be great.
Absolutely. And then the next thing, gonna do a little bit of fresh squeezed lemon juice.
Very nice. I see you're measuring all these fairly precisely. Is that key here? Or?
It's really important, especially when you're using more intricate flavors, that you're balancing your cocktails properly. That's kind of the most important part. If you got too much citrus, it's going to be too acidic. Too much sweet, you're not going to really taste what you're looking for. It's going to overpower different things.
Yeah, so, fair enough. And I know mixology is kind of very similar to cooking in that you're going to taste as you go. So before you would present this to one of your clients or your guests, you'd give it a little taste first.
We always do a little straw taste. The last couple ingredients I added here, a little bit of celery bitters, and also this is habanero pepper firewater bitters. And then we're going to throw a little bit of pepper in there.
We got some heat going on here. I like it.
Absolutely.
Cool.
That should do it for us. So
nice.
Add a little bit of ice.
Awesome.
And give it a little smack, a little shake.
This is my favorite part. Yeah, normally we'd be cheering. Woo! Cheers! Yeah, no!
All right. It's true. If you're ever at a cocktail competition, that's the part where everybody cheers. Make sure we got all the drips there. And like we were talking before, we're going to taste, make sure it's... Oh, that's great.
Nice.
Balanced out nicely.
Well, I'm glad you like it because we're both drinking it here.
We're just gonna fine strain this. So this, like I said, the Abino Ceasar. You got all those savory elements, a little bit of spice, tomato flavor, but you've got none of the red color from the clamato.
Very cool. I like it. I can't wait to try this one.
Perfect. Looks good.
Can I dig in?
One last thing. We're just gonna put a tiny little bit. This is a little bit of a tahini spice, it's kind of a lime and pepper spice.
Oh yeah, cool.
Just float a little bit of that on top. And that's it.
The Abino Ceasar. I like it. Let's give it a taste. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Oh, man. That's refreshing.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's really
finished
tasty.
with a little bit of spice, but you got the sweet, the savory,
Let's see how it goes with this.
Let's do this.
Just take a little piece of the fish there. Some of the okra. Oh, wow. You nailed it. It actually brings out the heat.
A little bit,
I like that, yeah. It adds a little more heat to it, which is perfect for this type of dish. It's awesome, Jace. Thanks, buddy.
My pleasure.
I got to do my bit, and then we'll get back to enjoying this, all right? Check out our website where you'll find more information on today's show and maybe a few surprises. I'm Chef Garret Schack. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to savor the flavor. All right. Dig in, buddy. Get over.